Have you ever imagined a Viking as more than just a horned, helmet-wearing barbarian? Hold on to that thought. We're about to dive deep into the captivating world of Vikings. Yes, they're known for their terrifying fierceness on the battlefield, but their story is so much more. These seafaring Scandinavians weren't just ruthless warriors. They were intrepid explorers, clever tradesmen, and skilled craftspeople, creating a rich of skills and ambitions. Their longships didn't just bring fear, they brought trade and innovation. These adventurers sailed as far as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic Caliphate, exchanging goods and establishing trading networks. And their legacy? It lives on in figures like Leif Erikson, who may have beaten Columbus to North America by 5 centuries, and the fearless female explorer, Freydis Eiríksdóttir. So, brace yourselves. We're about to delve into the multifaceted society of the Vikings, unearthing their remarkable exploration feats, trading prowess, and legendary figures. Join us as we set sail into the thrilling saga of the Vikings. The Viking Age, spanning from the late 8th to early 11th century, was a defining period in the history of Scandinavia. Picture a time when the world was a vast, uncharted landscape just waiting to be discovered. This was the world of the Vikings. The Viking Age, a period of intense exploration, warfare, and trade, was a pivotal era that shaped the course of European history and beyond. The Vikings, originating from the Scandinavian regions of Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, were fearless seafarers and skilled warriors. Their longships, remarkable for their time, allowed them to travel further than any before them. With these vessels, they ventured across the stormy North Atlantic, reaching as far as North America, a feat not repeated for another 500 years. The Vikings weren't just warriors and explorers, though. They were also traders, establishing trade routes that stretched from the British Isles to the far reaches of the Silk Roads in Asia. They traded goods ranging from fur, tusks, and precious metals to slaves and exotic artifacts. Their influence wasn't just limited to trade and exploration. They established settlements in many regions, including the British Isles, Iceland, Greenland, and parts of Russia. These settlements often grew into thriving communities, some of which exist to this day, like Dublin in Ireland and York in England. Perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of the Viking Age was its cultural impact. The Vikings brought with them their rich Norse mythology, filled with gods, giants, and heroes. Their sagas or epic stories were passed down through generations, preserving their history and traditions. The Viking Age was indeed a period of great change. It saw the spread of Scandinavian influence across Europe and beyond, shaping the world as we know it today. The legacy of the Vikings, from their exploration to their cultural contributions, continues to resonate in our modern world. Indeed, the Viking Age was a time of great expansion and exploration. Now, imagine a time when the map of the world was still incomplete. The Vikings dared to venture into the unknown. The Viking Age, a period in history marked by the seafaring exploits of Norse explorers, was a time of discovery and expansion. These intrepid explorers, driven by a thirst for adventure, riches, or simply a better life, set out on perilous journeys across the vast and unpredictable seas. The Vikings were not only fierce warriors, but also skilled seafarers and navigators. They built fast and sturdy ships, capable of withstanding the rough northern seas. The invention of the clinker-built longship, with its shallow draft and flexible hull, allowed them to navigate both the open ocean and shallow rivers. This versatility opened up new avenues for exploration and conquest. Among their many feats, the Vikings are credited with discovering Iceland. According to the Icelandic sagas, it was Norseman Nadod who first spotted the island after being blown off course while sailing from Norway to the Faroe Islands. He called it Snowland, but it was another Norse explorer, Floki Vilgadarsson, who gave the island its current name, Iceland. But the Viking exploration didn't stop there. Eric the Red, a man as fiery as his hair, was exiled from Iceland and set sail further west. He discovered a land covered with green pastures, which he cleverly named Greenland, hoping the inviting name would attract settlers. Then came the most audacious of their voyages. Based on ancient sagas and some archaeological evidence, it's believed that the Vikings reached as far as North America some 500 years before Christopher Columbus. Leif Erikson, the son of Eric the Red, is said to have landed on a place he named Vinland because of the wild grapes he found there. While the exact location of Vinland remains a mystery. many believe it's somewhere along the northeastern coast of North America. The Vikings, however, weren't just aimlessly wandering the seas. Their voyages were strategic, planned, and often based on information from earlier explorations. They established trade routes, colonies, and expanded their cultural influence across Europe and beyond. In their travels, they encountered a myriad of cultures, from the Byzantines in the east to the indigenous peoples of North America in the west. These interactions led to the exchange of goods, ideas, and sometimes conflict. But through it all, the Vikings left an indelible mark on the lands they visited, and their voyages significantly shaped the course of history. Yet, their exploration feats are often overshadowed by their reputation as raiders. But it's important to remember that exploration was as much a part of the Viking spirit as their warrior ethos. They were pioneers who dared to venture beyond the known world, driven by a curiosity and boldness that still resonates with us today. These relentless explorers charted paths where none had dared to go before. Among these daring explorers, Leif Erikson stands out as a figure of great intrigue. Now, picture this, a man of Norse descent, born in the late 10th century in the rugged landscapes of Greenland. A man who would grow to become a legendary figure in the annals of exploration. This man is none other than Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, the founder of the first Norse colonies in Greenland. Leif Erikson's story begins in his youth, when he sailed to Norway and converted to Christianity at the behest of King Olaf Tryggvason. Upon his return to Greenland, Erikson was tasked with spreading this new faith among the Norse colonies, a mission he accepted with fervor. But Erikson's destiny was not confined to the icy shores of Greenland. His fate was intertwined with the vast expanse of the unknown sea. Erikson embarked on a voyage into uncharted waters, driven by tales of a mysterious land to the west of Greenland. What he found was a region with a temperate climate, lush meadows and forests teeming with life, a stark contrast to the icy landscapes of his homeland. He named this land Vinland, inspired by the wild grapes he found growing there. Erikson's discovery of Vinland, believed today to be located in modern-day Newfoundland, Canada, was a remarkable achievement. While Christopher Columbus is often credited with discovering the New World, Erikson's voyage predates Columbus's by almost 500 years. This places Erikson as potentially the first European to set foot on North American soil. The story of Leif Erikson is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The tales of his voyages come from sagas passed down through generations, woven with elements of folklore and mythology. While the precise details of Erikson's explorations may remain elusive, the impact of his voyages is undeniable. Erikson's voyages opened the door to further exploration and settlement by the Norse people. His journey to Vinland marked the beginning of a series of voyages by other Norse explorers, who braved the perilous journey across the North Atlantic. Erikson's legacy is not just about his own voyages, but also about the spirit of exploration he ignited among his people. In the spirit of the Vikings, Erikson was a true explorer, a man of courage and determination. He was a pathfinder, a visionary who dared to venture into the unknown, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a thirst for discovery. His voyages paved the way for a new era of exploration, marking a significant chapter in the history of the world. Even today, Leif Erikson's legacy lives on. His voyages are commemorated in the United States with Leif Erikson Day, celebrated annually on October 9th. His name is etched in history, a reminder of the audacious spirit of the Vikings and their quest to explore the unknown. Leif Erikson, a true testament to the exploratory spirit of the Vikings. But let's not forget, the Vikings earned their fierce reputation for a reason. The Vikings were not just explorers and traders, they were also fearsome warriors, endowed with a fearsome reputation that spread far and wide throughout the medieval world. Their prowess in warfare was not a product of mere brute force, but rather a combination of strategic brilliance, superior weaponry, and a relentless spirit that made them a force to be reckoned with. To understand the Viking warrior, one must delve into their unique approach to warfare. The Vikings were known for their hit-and-run tactics, which allowed them to strike swiftly and retreat before their enemies could mount a proper response. This strategy was facilitated by their longships, which were swift, agile, and capable of navigating both open seas and shallow rivers. These ships could carry a warband of Viking warriors to the heart of enemy territory, catching their foes off guard and ensuring that the first blow was often the last. The weaponry of a Viking warrior was another crucial aspect of their martial prowess. Their arsenal included the iconic Viking sword, a double-edged weapon known for its balance and sharpness. They also wielded axes, spears and bows and defended themselves with round shields made of wood and iron. Each Viking warrior was expected to provide his own equipment, and many took great pride in their weapons, adorning them with intricate designs and symbols. But the Vikings were not just skilled in the art of combat, they were also exceptional strategists. They knew when to strike, where to strike, and how to exploit their enemies' weaknesses. Their most notable conquests bear testament to this. The sack of Lindisfarne in the late 8th century marked the beginning of the Viking Age, a daring raid that left the English kingdom of Northumbria in shock. The Vikings continued their expeditions, venturing as far as the Mediterranean, where they raided cities and monasteries with impunity. However, their strategic acumen was perhaps best displayed in their conquest of Normandy. In the 9th century, a Viking chieftain named Rollo besieged Paris, and after a protracted siege, negotiated a treaty with the French king. The treaty granted Rollo and his followers a swath of land in northern France, which would later become the Duchy of Normandy. This event marked a turning point in Viking history, as it demonstrated their ability to not only raid and pillage, but also to establish political power and influence. All these elements combined to forge the Viking warrior, a figure of awe and terror in the medieval world. They were not mindless brutes, as they are sometimes portrayed, but rather skilled fighters, shrewd strategists, and relentless adventurers. Their exploits left an indelible mark on the history of Europe, and their legacy continues to captivate us to this day. They were warriors of the highest order, feared and respected by their enemies. Yet, amid the tales of exploration and warfare, the Viking skills as traders often go unnoticed. Indeed, while we often envision Vikings as warriors with horned helmets, sailing across the sea in their longships, we seldom picture them as merchants, bartering goods from far-flung lands. The Vikings were not just raiders and explorers, but also savvy traders. And their trade networks were extensive, stretching from the icy realms of Greenland to the sun-soaked bazaars of Constantinople, from the steppes of Russia to the bustling markets of Baghdad. The Viking Age, spanning the late 8th to the early 11th century, saw the establishment of trade routes that crisscrossed seas, rivers, and overland paths, connecting cultures and economies across the known world. So, what were the goods that the Vikings traded? Well, it was a veritable cornucopia of commodities. They exported items like timber, iron, fur, leather, and even slaves, primarily to the east. In return, they imported luxury goods that were not available in their homelands. This included silver, silk, spices, wine, jewelry, and glassware. In fact, Arabic silver coins, known as dirhams, have been found in Scandinavian burial sites, attesting to the reach of Viking trade. The Vikings' trading activities had profound impacts on the economies of various regions. In the British Isles, for instance, the Vikings established trade hubs, or emporia, such as York and Dublin. These cities flourished as commercial centers, bringing wealth and prosperity to the region. Similarly, in Russia, the Vikings, known as the Varangians, played a crucial role in the development of trade routes along the Volga and Dnieper rivers, laying the foundation for the creation of the powerful state of Kievan Rus'. Yet, Viking trade was not just about material goods. It was also about the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. The Vikings absorbed influences from the cultures they interacted with, and in turn disseminated their own traditions and innovations. This cross-cultural exchange left lasting imprints on the societies that the Vikings traded with, influencing everything from art and architecture to language and law. In short, Viking trade was an indispensable part of their society. It was a means of survival, a source of wealth, and a catalyst for change. It was a web of connections that bound together disparate lands and peoples, fostering economic growth, cultural exchange, and social transformation. And it was a testament to the Vikings' resourcefulness, adaptability, and entrepreneurial spirit. So, the next time you think of the Vikings, remember them not just as fearsome warriors or intrepid explorers, but also as astute traders. Because as much as their swords and ships, it was their scales and silver that left a lasting mark on the world. Trade was, in fact, a fundamental aspect of Viking society. As we've seen, the Vikings were more than just warriors. They were explorers, traders, and pioneers. The legacy of the Vikings is vast and complex, much like the seas they once navigated. Their influence stretches far beyond their native Scandinavian homelands, reaching the corners of the globe they touched, from the frozen tundras of North America to the bustling markets of Byzantium. Indeed, the remarkable Viking legacy is etched into the very fabric of our culture, language, and society. The Vikings in their voyages not only exchanged goods but also ideas, thereby enriching the cultures they interacted with. Their tales of daring adventures, immortalized in sagas, continue to inspire literature and art today. The Viking language, Old Norse, has left its indelible mark on the English language. Words like Thursday, named after Thor, the Norse god of thunder, and ransack, derived from the Old Norse rannsaka, are testaments to their linguistic influence. In terms of societal contributions, the Vikings were pioneers of democratic assembly. Their Althing, an open-air assembly where free men could voice their opinions, is considered one of the oldest parliamentary institutions in the world. Yet it's their maritime prowess that truly sets them apart. The Vikings were exceptional shipbuilders and navigators. Their longships, sleek and swift, revolutionized seafaring. These vessels enabled them to explore, trade, and establish settlements across vast distances, shaping the course of history in the process. The Vikings also left a profound impact on the regions they settled. In places like Scotland, Ireland, and England, they influenced place names, local customs, and even genetics. But perhaps the most enduring aspect of the Viking legacy is the spirit of exploration and adventure they embodied. It's a spirit that continues to inspire us, reminding us of the vastness of the world and our innate desire to explore it. So, while the Viking Age may have ended over a millennium ago, the echoes of their influence continue to ripple through time. The legacy of the Vikings continues to resonate even today. So, we've sailed through the fascinating world of the Vikings. What a voyage it has been. We've navigated the enigmatic Viking Age, a time of grand exploration, fierce warfare, and bustling trade. Let's revisit our voyage, shall we? We began with the enigma of the Vikings, a people often misunderstood, stereotyped as ruthless raiders. Yes, they were fierce warriors, but they were also so much more. They were explorers, adventurers, and innovators, pushing the boundaries of known world and creating a legacy that still resonates today. We voyaged with the Viking explorers, brave souls who ventured into the unknown, not just for the thrill of it, but to chart new routes and establish new settlements. Remember Leif Erikson, the navigator who, according to the sagas, discovered North America, beating Columbus by a good 500 years. Then, we met the Viking warriors, the epitome of bravery and, yes, sometimes brutality. Their innovative tactics, their skill in battle, their iconic longships, all combined to make them a formidable force. But remember, they were not just warriors. They were also traders, exchanging goods from as far away as the Middle East and Central Asia. They were skilled craftsmen and shrewd businessmen, their trading networks spanning continents. And finally, we delved into the legacy of the Vikings, the indelible mark they left on the world. The Viking influence is still seen today in our language, our culture, and our understanding of the world. They shaped history, and their story is a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and the spirit of adventure. As we part ways with the Vikings, remember that history is often more complex than it appears at first glance. The Vikings were not just raiders or traders or explorers, they were all of these and more. So as we say goodbye to the Vikings, let's take with us their spirit of exploration, their courage, and their resilience. Until next time, keep exploring.